All right, Lady Ada, what is this?
Hey, everybody, and welcome to yet another show and tell. The most fun you can have for free on the internet in 1 hour. We're going to be here from now till about 7:50, and we're going to go on to Ask Engineer. We got people from around the community, around the world, come by and show us what they're doing, working on, making, crafting, hacking, 3D printing. It's going to be a party. So come on by. Don't be shy. And if you come on before, you're welcome again. We're also going to hear from people from the Adafruit community and also from Digi-Key. Speaking of.
All right. First up, David.
Hello.
Hello. What you up to this week?
Oh, well, I have to apologize. First off, Kevin couldn't make it this week, but we have something so exciting to talk about that we just couldn't wait. It couldn't wait till next week. We are just so excited about it. So we are proud to announce, and hopefully I can share my screen. Let's see, share my screen. Sorry about that. But we are proud to announce our activity with Make on the boards guide. It's out this week. So the magazine is just hitting the presses right now. I don't know if everyone has seen the last one, but this one is super duper because we have got 14 Adafruit platforms in here. And of course, the Clue platform is one of the featured ones. So we're very excited about it. We think it's very cool. We are looking forward to 2 different elements with this one that is different than last year. Number one, we have tons of boards in AR. So last year we only had 6. This year we've got about 30 boards in AR. So that's kind of fun. The other thing is that when you take a look at it, you can actually see all the platforms plop out. And there's the Clue platform
Cool.
that's in it. And you can see all the little AR elements next to all those Adafruit platforms. There's the Circuit Playground Bluefruit. You get to not only look at the platforms themselves, but you can look at key features. You can look at add-on boards to them. All of that is there. We have more boards in this platform or this year with Adafruit than any other vendor, so we're very excited about it. We think it's a great way for people to visualize the platforms that are out there. Sorry, Lamar, what?
I am loving it. This is so cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. And of course, our highlight of this every single year, which we've done for the last 3 years now, once we have the AR elements and everything else, is to have our Harry Potter moment with Lady Ada. So this is kind of fun. And of course, this works. You're seeing it work right now with the boards guide itself. But you can go ahead and download the version of the PDF itself, and that's up on the Digi-Key website. So if we take a look at that, you can actually see the PDF is up there itself. Or if you don't even have the PDF, if you just download the app from either the App Store with Apple or the Android store, you actually can just place the boards on any flat surface and play around with them. So a lot of fun. And we're excited to have it out there finally, just announced this week.
Yeah, this is, I think, one of the best. We were just talking about this before we got started. I think this is one of the best makes and make board guides. Yeah, it has a bunch of our stuff in it, but the coverage of all the boards, all the different things you can do, all the languages you can use to program it with, and then the AR stuff. It's like not only like super modern, but when I was working at Make, we always wanted to figure out like what are the best ways to have the best print experience with digital, the best digital experience with just say a PDF. How do you combine all these things with powerful supercomputers? And at the very beginning, the iPhone just came out. So if you're looking for a fun thing to do and you like electronics, you can download it from Digi-Key site. You can also get Make for Make, and we'll have the makes in the Adafruit store, if not now, like any moment.
Yeah, I think they're in stock.
Yeah.
Pick them up.
So, all right.
Great. And I wanted just to mention one thing. Not only do we have the 2020 version of Lady Ada's video, but we have the 2019 in there as well.
Right.
So if you don't have enough filled with her for this or Ask an Engineer, you can watch all those videos of her
You
as
can
well.
see how I've aged in the last year.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. So when you put the phone over this, it'll pop the video out and you can play it. And then off to the side, you can see the 2019 video. What'll probably be neat is over the course of the years, you'll be able to spin it and see all the different board updates across the years.
Yep.
All right. Thank you,
All right.
David.
Cool.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you
Great,
so
good to
much,
see you.
David.
Good
And
seeing you too.
all right, next up, Trevor, what are you working on this week in the world of iOS?
Hey, so what I've been working on is I've been updating the Election Day app. So last week I made an Election Day app where it updates the. I'm sorry. It basically it's a simple counter that shows you the days that are leading up to the election. And like I did it and it was great. And then this week I just chose to change up the UI. So here it is. Let me share my screen. All right, sharing the screen.
You're
All
getting good at the screen share thing.
I know, I'm getting it. So
Harder than voting.
this is how it looked last week. It wasn't that visually stimulating. It was kind of bland and bleak. But this is how it looks this week.
Okay.
Boom.
Ooh.
I know, it looks so much better. So this is the day counter right here. And right below it, there's like a quote from Obama where he says there's no such thing as a vote that doesn't matter. It all matters, which is very true. Also, so right below it, right here, this is a link to vote.org where you're able to get voter information. And what I did was I used core location to gather the user's location data so that wherever you are, if you're using the app, it'll automatically like link you to your designated area when it comes down to like voting information. So right here, it's linking me to like New York. If I was in Kentucky, it will send me to a Kentucky link, and that's
Cool.
that. Also, so I added this little thing where it shows like who's running. Here's a bigger counter, and also here are the candidates for 2020: Democratic, Republican, the Green Party, and Libertarian. I didn't know that it was there was so many parties. Also, it gathers online data. So I'm actually pulling online data from ballotpedia.com and also the images as well. And if I tap on one of the cards, it'll show you some user data and like some pictures and whatnot. So yeah, that's what I've been working on.
Cool.
All right,
Thanks.
this is neat. This is cool because not only is it a fun programming exercise and it's relevant in the news right now, but 4 years ago, 3 years ago-ish, this would have been different and harder to do with the current state of the art. So it'll be interesting to see 4 years from now what we're going to do. So maybe that'll be our plan. Just like the board guide each year, there's Lady Ada. Maybe every 4 years, we'll see like what it's like to develop something like where to vote on whatever is considered a mobile device.
Oh yeah. And also, once again, Swift UI, super easy. I did this in like literally no time.
Sounds good. Yeah. Okay, we'll look for Trevor's post on the blog. I think we've been posting up code.
Yep. It's going to be on GitHub, and I also post a code, make a post on the Adafruit blog site.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, thanks so much, Trevor.
All right, good to see you, Trevor.
All right, next up, we're going to go to Melissa. Hello, Melissa.
Hello. So I've been working on some guides lately. I got an e-ink guide out, so that should be up. And I'm finishing updating a sharp memory display. And I'm just updating it with one of the new products here, which is a 2.7-inch display. And at the moment, bad Apple video demo. I just hit reset, so it takes a second. And it's going ahead and playing that. And so I'm just kind of like writing how to get that all set up and stuff. I didn't make the demo or anything, but it's fun.
I love the contrast on that display. It's really
I know.
a beautiful display.
Yeah, Sharp is a very appropriate name.
It is. I know. If people like a Sharp a descriptor, it's like, no, that's the company, but it is a Sharp display. All right. Well, thanks, Melissa. And we're going to talk about some of the guides you've done. A lot of display stuff happening, a lot of Linux stuff happening. You are the queen of Linux and displays, and everyone can see your works.
All right. Thanks so much, Melissa.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Right along. We're going to go to Erin. Hello, Erin.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey. So last week I showed a necklace that I made, and I have not been able to stop making them. I'm so excited about them. So I just want to show a couple more this week. I'm getting into this wire wrapping technique, and it's a resin pour. We've got a little on-off switch right here. See if I can reach it. But then it comes on and it glows and looks beautiful. This one is, I'm using I kind of been digging in the back of my drawer. I'm using up all the old boards that don't really work very well anymore, or the dirty ones, or the ones that, are half soldered up. So this one's running Arduino code. And then I made another one, which I love. And this one is using a slightly newer board. So it's using CircuitPython, running fancy LED. So that's been kind of fun to compare the two different, just how they look, at each other and see like what the difference is, and see, which I like better, and how to get, the easier, more colors and better fades and stuff like that. So I've been having fun playing with these quite a lot. The other thing I'm kind of getting proud of is that they're really thin for LED necklaces. I've made a lot of LED necklaces in the past, and they're just chunky. They're like an inch and a half thick, because you got to have room for the batteries and everything in there. But I'm minimizing all the components and getting them in there using a itsy bitsy for this one, and it all fits in this lovely little package with USB charging and an on-off switch and all this stuff. So just kind of excited about these.
All right, good work, Erin, and everyone's looking forward to a guide on that coming soon. You've been doing a lot of resin work. Good. It's a good time for resin because it's in hot out.
Yeah, it's warm.
Okay, all right, thank you, Erin.
Next, JP. JP, what you doing this week?
Hey, so this week I'm working on a Bitcoin price tracker. And I decided, because I had a lot of pieces that I'm having to hold together at the moment, to show it off, to just stick it inside of a cool looking case. And if we peer inside, you can see the current value is $11,745. Actually, I don't own any Bitcoin, so this isn't of a great value to me, but I am impressed by how quickly this has been rising. I think it's moved like $12 or $13 in the last couple of hours.
That's why it's such a great demo, because it's constantly changing.
Yeah, you'll see. Yeah, I'll be sitting there, and I shot a video that we posted to social media earlier, and I just did 2 passes with my camera, and it already changed by like $8 or something like that. So I'll be showing the details of how that's put together and how that works on my workshop show tomorrow. So come on by, check it out. It's CircuitPython. And it's an airlift, M4 Metro M4 airlift using Wi-Fi to get that value, and I'll show you all the details of how that works.
Awesome, thank you, JP. Always keeping the money rolling.
All right.
Right.
Virtual coin. Next up, Noe and Pedro.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Yeah, so this week, let's see, we got our Neo Matrix, and let's share the screen here. Yeah, so we've been playing around with the Neo Matrix and the black LED acrylic. So we came up with this nice little 3D printed case that has the Neo Matrix embedded in there. We 3D printed this grid to create all the grid effect, and the black LED acrylic is in front of it. In the back here, we got the proto feather wing, so that we can kind of swap out different feathers, and it's just mounted there with some 2.5 screws. And it's a really neat effect. So this is sort of the grid bear, eye blinding, and we got a couple of different acrylic pieces just kind of showcase the difference. Normally, your transparent acrylic looks like this. This is kind of your tinted type that you can get at your local hardware store. Yeah. It doesn't quite diffuse it. So if you compare it to some of the black LED acrylic, let's see what it looks like when we start moving it over. You can kind of see the effect.
It really pixelates it nicely, and I like the little grid that you made. That's a perfect 3D print project. It's so hard; you can't make them by hand.
It is, and I kind of ran into this issue where I couldn't get the grid to be flush with the PCB because there's caps like all over the place, right? Yeah. So what we did was we made these little cutouts so that it can be flush with the PCB, so it accommodates for all the little caps there. So it has a perfect fit there. Yeah. And having the feather wing on the back is really nice because we can swap it out if we want to do some Wi-Fi connectivity.
That's a nice design. Perfect for pixel art.
Excellent. So we put together a guide on how to assemble the case, and it uses the demo code that's a part of the LED animation library for CircuitPython.
Okay, cool. All right. Nice work, Noe and Pedro. More
Right on.
black LED acrylic will be seen in more projects because I can tell you like it.
Yeah. All right. Bye, folks. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks so much. Next up, we're going to go to Collin. Hello, Collin.
Hey, Collin.
Hello. Hi.
Take it away.
It's been too long since I made a synthesizer. Should do that regularly. So I'm in the process of remedying the situation, and it's good to be back. It's good to be playing with the sounds again. And right here you see the result of a little experimenting with a Feather M4, and we're running CircuitPython with this deal here, and just going out in the two built-in DACs. Let's celebrate that fact and put them to use. So this is running out, we got an encoder here for add a little octave control and whatnot, and the 2 amps to 2 speakers. So this is like a nice little spin because, you can always just make another synthesizer, but why not try something a little different? So these are actually outputting 2 different waveforms, which in person is kind of a cool dimensionality. But of course you can't notice that here. But I'm looking into building off this. I was lucky that I was able to repurpose this mechanical keyboard that I made too as a controller. So I'm gonna work and change it so that we can control the frequency difference between the 2 waveforms with the encoder, and maybe even add a 3rd speaker or a 4th. I don't know. There's so many possibilities. Yeah. Sounds pretty dark from here. But yeah. I don't know. I'd like to see what's coming along. I actually have some ideas for how I could arrange these and control the separation between the physical separation between the speakers too, which I will reveal at a later date. What's that?
I like the keycaps.
Oh yeah, these are classics. It's actually supposed to be keycaps inspired by Canon cameras, I believe was the idea. Yeah. So I'll hopefully be coming back and showing this in a further evolved state, and probably with different keycaps to showcase as a bonus.
All right, great to see you, Collin, and your synth.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right, next up, we're going to go to Paint Your Dragon. Paint Your Dragon, what you got going on this week?
There. Well, Halloween's coming up. Halloween's always coming up for me. Every year we tend to do an eyeball project. We had the Halloween and then the monster mask. And like the monster mask is just like the chef's kiss perfect eye project. And so I don't have a new eye project for this year. It's kind of like, I think we did it. I think we have the perfect thing here. But the other thing I do every year around Halloween is I like to go to the different stores and see what kind of decorations and Halloween props are coming out for the year. And we have the COVID thing, so I don't want to go to the stores and check this out. So I'm just watching online, and I saw that both Costco and Home Depot, the big animatronics, they have these yard animatronics, and they have the blinking eyes in them. Right? Finally.
What?
Yeah. So I was excited by this. And it's funny because if you look, there's 3 of them. And one of them is a skeleton. You look at the skeleton's eyes and it's like, I know where the graphics came from. Someone is aware of our work. And, that's cool because it's we do open source, and a lot of like Kickstarter projects, a lot of people build on our work, and that's pretty neat. But I was really curious. It's like, hey, I recognize the graphics on those eyes. I wanted to get inside one and like see how similar these really are. So I got the werewolf. I didn't find out about the dragon until after the fact. Right. So I got the werewolf, and you can see I plucked his eyes out.
Yeah, of course.
I'll put them back in. I know that's kind of
what usually happens is we come up with something, and it's for hobbyists, and it's not manufactured on Costco level scale. So you usually see someone else's version of it.
Yes,
they came up with.
Right. And so So I was curious. I pulled the werewolf's eyes out, and it's a different image here, but we can customize these things real easily.
Yeah.
But I was just curious how they were able to mass produce this in something that these parts. I estimate it's probably like $5 at the high end, probably less than that. But it's two very basic TFT color displays.
Yeah.
Same image on both, and one of them is just a passive screen. All the smarts are just on one board, microcontroller, flash memory with the graphics, and then some passive components. So I got even further into it with the oscilloscope and seeing how this works, and I did a guide on the learning system that explains, I'm pretty sure, how this whole thing works. And if I wanted to, I could pull the flash chip off and probably replace the graphics with something else. But I kind of like, okay, I see how this works at that point.
Yeah.
I called it off. But yeah, so if you're interested in that sort of thing, check out the guide. How it's interesting how this stuff filters down to cheaper and cheaper options out there.
No, it's cool. It's like we wanted more eyes, and you did eyes and eyes, and like now, I mean, they didn't do as good a job as you did, obviously.
In case anyone's wondering too, we love to see this stuff because a lot of people will see this decoration and say, well, I'm not going to buy it, a 7-foot animatronic. I want to just make something on my own with eyes in it, and Adafruit has that. So
we have that's the thing, is we don't just have it there.
Yeah, and much like just to give an analogy, if you eat at a great restaurant, you have that experience of the meal, but with Adafruit, you get the cookbook and a list of all the ingredients, and you can make it yourself. So I think that's one of the other things. Like a lot of people saw light up shoes that had like neopixels in them essentially, and they didn't like the style of the shoes, or they didn't care for however they looked, and they made their own because those shoes were based on shoes that we did. So this is all good news. Thanks for finding that. Or what are you going to do with the corpse, the husk of this?
I'll put these back in the werewolf, and I'll stick it out front for Halloween because, well, I don't know if anyone's going to be doing the door-to-door this year, but I have the big Halloween decoration because I like Halloween stuff anyway. So that was fortunate, wasn't it?
I hope the kids do go for Halloween, but they only they wear masks and they just like
you don't wear masks.
They're going to just be ninjas.
Yeah. If I do the candy thing, I'm going to set out a table so people are on the other side. There's a little preparation there. Put the candy out on the table. We'll see. Anyway, check out the guide if you're interested in that sort of thing. And I suspect somebody eventually will go in there and reprogram the.
Yeah, sure. Super fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
A nice intro.
Thanks so much.
You bet.
Thank you. Paint your dragon.
Okay, next up we're going to go to Nick Donaldson, and then we're going to go to Jeff, and then Liz. So I'm going to add Nick to the chat.
Nick.
Hello, Nick.
Wow, Nick's got some cool toys.
Hey guys, I'm so glad to finally be on. My good friend Erin.
Oh, wow.
I didn't come on this for a while. So I have a fun little Raspberry Pi project for you today. I put a Raspberry Pi on my last robot. She's right there. No, there, that thing. And it's such a great little board. And one of the great things about it is how tiny it is. So I have two teenage sons, a 13 and a 16-year-old, and their worst nightmare is no Wi-Fi, no internet. So what I've done is I've created this little standalone internet kill switch that fits entirely within this little cheap eStop. And when I push the button, the Raspberry Pi inside sends a secure shell. A secure shell to my firewall, drops a token in a directory that says block his firewall. My firewall then runs an IP table script and blocks all their MAC addresses. And when I release it, when I then undoes
you can hear screams in the background.
So, right, exactly. And to keep it charged, I have QI pads in here, and I actually found that the unit had to be perfectly centered on the QI pad, so I printed this awesome little holder on my Sigma R19 in 2 colors. So let me crack this open, and I'll show you what it looks like.
I just like the idea that like you're at dinner and you're like, eat your vegetables. And Aiden's
Right.
like, I'm not. And you're just like, don't make me press the switch.
Exactly. So inside you've got, if you can see this, you got the Raspberry Pi Zero is there. There's a LiPo. There's a couple of boards. I actually have I had a breadboard. I breadboarded it at one point.
Oh, great.
So you got a little a buck converter to actually this is the buck converter. There's a QI receiver with another buck converter to stabilize it into a little charging thing. So all of these boards fit into the case, which is awesome. And the end result is so right now I have it in testing mode. So all it's doing is shutting off the MAC address for my iPhone. So if I kill it, LED flashes, it sent the signal. If I begin the test now, I should be offline. Yeah, look at that. Nothing.
Oh,
Nothing.
no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
And test again. Now,
Oh,
it's online.
yay.
That happens really quickly, and because it's a QI thing, I can have this on here. Then I can pick it up and chase them around the house and threaten them with it. It's an excellent tool for parenting, let me tell you.
Yeah. How technical are your kids? Are they going to be able to hack this and like spoof something, or
They could get an Ethernet card. They get a hackable MAC address to reprogram the MAC address. Are you worried about that?
I have actually challenged them to do that. It's actually not that secure. It's literally I created a Pi user on my firewall, which is totally non-privileged. It has write permissions to a directory within its home directory, and is running a script, and it receives secure shell or the Raspberry Pi here secure shells in with a RSA key to the firewall, drops a token in that directory, and then I have a separate script running as root, checking that directory every few seconds or once a second, and when it sees that file, it deletes the file and runs the script. So
I hope what they do is they log into the firewall and then block the MAC addresses of those two Pi zeros. So you don't realize that on the internet.
There's a lot of,
and then they can pretend
there's
like,
a lot of
the internet's
strategies.
off.
Yeah, this is almost like a test. Like as soon as they pass, they get out of the thing, and then they're Batman or something. I don't know. Like, how's it work?
Watch out.
Right. And like it's not that secure. Like obviously my firewall is pretty locked down, but the Pi user has a totally crappy little password. It's not that secure, and I've challenged them to crack it. So we shall see. I will report back.
Yeah,
this is great.
And the other thing, they're gonna have to cooperate. So one gets shut down. You know, one of them doesn't have internet. The other one will have to like look up how to do this. They'd have to like maybe go to this video, stream it. They'll have to cooperate. So this is advanced level parenting. Congratulations.
Exactly. And I think I might build a third one that is the master, because I guarantee you that they're going to try and shut off each other's internet.
Yeah,
that's true.
Hidden that when I push it, it enables the system, and then I can shut it off.
This is totally like the prisoner's dilemma, but over internet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, nice work, Nick.
Thank you.
All right. Good work. Next up, Jeff. What you got going on this week, Jeff?
Hello. Well, earlier you kind of did the perfect setup talking about how open source hardware means you take it and create something else. So I'm sure Lady Ada could even say what the product number on this guy is. It is wildly copied on the internet. But I had read that you can take this and instead of using a low precision crystal, you could bring in your own high precision signal and bring that in instead, so that your output. So I should back up. This board creates 3 controllable frequencies, and you set it up in software. And I'm in a quest for more accurate or more precise clock frequencies, just kind of for its own sake. So people on the internet gave me tips that you can bring in, rewire it a little bit, and bring in your own clock signal of hopefully high accuracy, and derive your clock from that. So you got a little bodge wire, you got some hot glue to keep it in place, but that's just not satisfactory. But since all of the Adafruit designs are open source, you can grab it and embellish it however you see fit. So I added a proper clock-in connector. I added a trinket that can set up the frequency automatically each time I plug it in. And it works like a charm. You know, you go with the 3D printed enclosure.
Ooh.
With, you know, input 0, 1, 2 outputs, little USB inlet on the back, and of course the obligatory bodge wire because you didn't get your first board quite right.
Okay.
But you know, it was just a lot of fun to both be able to take the Adafruit board design, which imported into KiCad just fine, thank you very much, and then add a standard part like a Trinket M0, and you're just a little bit of ways from the product that was customized to do what I want. And all the design files are there, so anybody can do this with any of the products, and that is really great.
Yay!
Yeah, and only because I was just on a video chat with someone in the open source hardware community, and one of the things that we were talking about is, so we're in the middle of a pandemic, and you know, whatever this worst depression, recession is going to be called, and Adafruit's not going out of business. And one of the criticisms of open source hardware is people will say, well, I don't want to put my stuff out there because it's going to get copied and someone's going to make money off of it. And there's a whole bunch of things that people, they psych themselves up to not publish software and hardware. And if a woman-owned company in New York City during a global pandemic and biggest depression can manage to give away all their files and all of the code under licenses, there's no excuse. Like it just means that you're missing an opportunity to have other cool things out there. Mm-hmm. There really hasn't been an example of I released something under an open source hardware license, open software license, and it completely destroyed my business. There's always it gets mentioned, but there's never an example. And I want to stress to folks, like you see a bunch of stuff, even when that werewolf thing that Phil B showed. So that's a closed source derivative, probably of like something we did. It had no effect on things. So this is always great to see, because like this is, what's the point of doing all this unless other people can make and share? Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I have tons of experience with how in open source this works, whether it's companies who choose to put their source out there or hobbyists who choose to do it, and that doesn't hurt anybody. I'm much newer to the open source hardware part of it, but I mean, clearly it's working, and yeah.
Yeah, I just want to, you know, I have to remember once in a while to, because we're in this, so it's hard to stop and make an observation. But if we were closed source, we wouldn't have got this far. Because we're open source, it's only helped us. And if you look at things like Feather, while we were doing the show, I glanced over another Feather format board came out from someone else.
Yay.
And that doesn't take away from us at all. It's like that quote, like the candle, the other person's candle you light doesn't diminish your own flame. It just allows someone to light their candle and then light another candle. So thanks for sending it. Thanks for showing this, Jeff. And it just reminded me, I was going to talk about this on Show and Tell or Ask an Engineer, but just yet another good example of like, if you like to see engineering out there, set it free.
For sure.
All right. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Have a good evening.
All right.
Next up.
Speaking of open source hardware and software, Liz is always doing stuff. Liz, what you got going on this week?
How's it going? As I share my screen, I have a little bit of a story. So when I did the Blinka jump game learn guide, there was one aspect of the code that I really enjoyed, and it was getting Blinka to do an animation by alternating two pieces of a tile grid.
Okay.
So while I was working on that, I wrote on my whiteboard party parrot animation on a clue. So this past week, I took the GIF of the famous party parrot and I split it out into a 10 grid long tile grid so I could load it into the clue. And then past 2 days, I've been playing around with different ways of animating it. Right now, there's two there's two grids going. One 2x4 at the top, 2x4 at the bottom. And they're randomly iterating so that they'll randomly animate in different spots. So kind of silly, but it makes me smile. It's pretty fun. Also, I like using this way to kind of bring an animation onto the clue with the display.io library. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
This is great. The other thing, can you hand me the magazine? This is magazine over there. The other thing is good timing.
Yes.
You know, the clue is on the cover of Make. You just did the virtual Maker Faire. You know, before we were doing the show and tell this week, we were just talking to David from Digi-Key. Microcontrollers are now so powerful, you can do stuff like this.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
You know, it's Party Parrot, haha. It's, you know, it's silly, funny.
It's actually really hard to do.
But this was so hard to do and nearly impossible just a few years ago, and now it's, you know, a $20-something board and
yeah,
a little bit of code, and you could do something like this.
And if I can just quickly show the code, actually.
Oh, we lost your.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So just to quickly show the code, it's kind of messy right now because I'm in the middle of it and I comment things out as I go, but this is all that's making it animate. It's just these couple lines. So really easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So love CircuitPython.
Super cool. All right. Thank you so much, Liz. Take care and maybe see you next week.
See you next week.
Yes, absolutely. Have a good one.
Pet the cat.
Next up, hey Mark.
Hey Mark, welcome back.
Guess it would help if I got my mic on.
How you doing?
Yeah,
I saw your project making the rounds.
Yeah, thanks a lot. For anyone that didn't know, I published a guide on how to make the little weather display that I showed a few weeks ago. So I'm really happy that I finished that off.
Yeah, just in time for like the craziest weather ever around the country.
Yeah, it's actually calmed down a little bit in Canada where I am. It's just gotten hot, which isn't as usual for us, and especially for a redhead like me, not my favorite. So then also last week I was showing off the little lithophane that I'd done. Well, and I just finished the code while I was watching other people. I now have its big brother finished. Complete now. I took a bunch of neopixels, cut them up, made a grid, and was able to now actually control and like make some cool effects with the colors in the background. Whether I'm going to end up showing time of day or just randomly, including the neopixel library, which I discovered and I'm glad you guys have now. Hopefully you can get some cool animations on here as well.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
So it's just a small update from last week.
That's fine. It's a small update, but it's a big update.
Yeah, and actually I was most happy that this is the largest 3D print I've managed to successfully do. Which, instead of a pile of plastic sitting beside me.
Okay.
We saw a Naomi, who a lot of people know in the 3D printing community. She emailed, and there's a belt 3D printer where the bed is a belt.
Oh yeah.
So you could just 3D print stuff, and then it moves it along the belt, and then eventually you just have a bucket of parts. So finally, like, you know, 3D printers have been, you know, kind of okay, it just prints stuff, and like there's bigger form factor ones. But this is the first one I've seen that has a belt drive.
Yeah, Bree invented that, but I don't think they ever implemented it.
Yeah, so I think that'll be kind of curious what folks are going to do with 3D printing projects when you can just print it and then the bed itself moves, and then eventually it just, you know, goes off to the side in a bucket. So anyways, start thinking of ideas, Mark, because there might be a new type of 3D printer out.
Well, that would be, now that I've got this one working a little bit more, it'll be really interesting to take a look at.
Yeah.
But thanks for all your guys' help. I never would have got like the guide and any of these projects done without all your guides and information.
That's why it's out there.
Showing up in here gave me the encouragement to actually write guides, and you guys were just talking about it, sharing projects and putting it out for others to learn from.
That's right.
I had a lot of feedback from the initial weather station I put, and it's just great hearing that it's helping other people.
Awesome.
Yeah, we learned if you want to see engineering, you have to share engineering.
That's right.
And it turns out it works.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay, thank you so much, Mark. Keep coming back and showing your projects. Always a joy.
I'll do. Thanks a lot.
All right, lady, that is our show and tell for the week this week. Thank you so much,
minutes of fun.
Everybody. We'll be doing Ask an Engineer at 8 p.m. Don't forget, Noe and Pedro every Wednesday on 3D Hangouts. That's 11 a.m. Tomorrow, JP is doing JP's workshop at 4 p.m. And Scott has his deep dive. Usually, I think it's around 5 Eastern. I have to double check. I'm usually in a meeting around then. So
I know it's exactly.
I know when I'm not around.
Okay.
But we'll be doing Ask an Engineer in a few minutes. Thank you so much, everybody. We're here every single week, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Show and share your projects, and see you next week.
Bye, everybody.